Israel just started Operation Northern Arrows and is now working around the clock to erase the terrorist organization of Hezbollah from the face of the earth. You would think that the world would be happy that Israel is destroying evil, right? Well, unfortunately not. 12 countries are now calling for a ceasefire between Israel and Lebanon. Yes, they're saying Lebanon and not Hezbollah, as if Israel was at war with Lebanon. Guys, we're diving into all of this and more here on today's show, so stay tuned. I'm Justin, and this is the Israel Guys. As you probably already know, Israel started Operation Northern Arrows last week with an epic mission, blowing up thousands of Hezbollah pagers that incapacitated at least 1,500 terrorists. They also took out multiple top commanders, including the commander of Radwan, Hezbollah's special forces, trained to infiltrate Israeli territory, and they also took out the number 2 Hezbollah commander overall. Also, just striking thousands of Hezbollah targets, bombing northern Lebanon like crazy. Well, unfortunately, not everyone is liking what Israel is doing in Lebanon, even though Israel goes above and beyond to avoid civilian casualties by literally dropping thousands of leaflets before bombing. So not just warning civilians, but also terrorists in the process, sending text messages and making phone calls to Lebanese civilians. Also just doing insanely precise strikes like what they did to the pagers and backup walkie-talkies, for example. People all over the world, all over the internet, are condemning Israel, from Rashida Tlaib, I mean, honestly, I guess you would kind of expect that at this point, to the Pope. The Pope said this on Twitter, X, said, quote, "I am saddened by the news coming from Lebanon about bombings, death, and destruction. May the international community make every effort to stop this terrible escalation. It is unacceptable. I express my solidarity with the Lebanese people who have already suffered too much." Not one mention of Hezbollah, the Iranian-backed terrorist organization that has literally been indiscriminately firing rockets at Israel for the past 11 months. But it gets worse. Around a dozen countries are now calling for a 21-day ceasefire between Israel and Lebanon. According to JNS, the United States, Australia, Canada, European Union, France, Germany, Italy, Japan, Saudi Arabia, United Arab Emirates, and Qatar called jointly on Wednesday night for an, quote, immediate 21-day ceasefire across the Lebanon-Israel border to provide space for diplomacy towards the conclusion of a diplomatic settlement. Now, right before this statement, U.S. President Joe Biden and French President Emmanuel Macron made a joint statement together that said, quote, "It is time for a settlement on the Israel-Lebanon border that ensures safety and security to enable civilians to return to their homes." Because, yeah, it's just so simple, guys. What is Israel thinking? If we just had a ceasefire, then everything would be fine, right? Everyone can return to their homes, go back to safety, and Hezbollah, I'm sure they're going to change their minds. They're just going to lay down their arms and decide that they want to live in peace with Israel. Don't get me going. For the past 11 months, Hezbollah has been firing rockets at Israel, causing almost 100,000 residents to still, as we speak, be evacuated from their homes, and thousands more daily living with the reality of having to run to a bomb shelter every night, or living in constant fear of a rocket hitting you on your way to the grocery store. Guys, where's been the international condemnation for this? Where are the calls of the world for Hezbollah to cease firing? You know what else is stupid? Well, astonishingly, neither of these statements, the one from Biden and Macron, nor the one from a bunch of countries, mention Hezbollah. Yeah, they did not mention Hezbollah. They're calling for a ceasefire between Israel and Lebanon, as if Israel is attacking Lebanon as a sovereign country that's somehow disconnected from Hezbollah. By the way, Israel has not declared war on Lebanon. People think that. They've not declared war on Lebanon. In this video, Netanyahu makes that very clear.
I have a message for the people of Lebanon. Israel's war is not with you. It's with Hezbollah. For too long, Hezbollah has been using you as human shields.
Mark Dubowitz, the CEO of the Foundation for Defense of Democracies, wrote, and I quote, "There is no government of Lebanon. No mention here of Hezbollah or Hamas." Jason Brodsky, policy director at United Against Nuclear Iran, said, quote, "Imagine releasing 2 statements calling for a temporary ceasefire between Israel and Lebanon, as if the government of Lebanon had any agency and sovereignty without mention of Hezbollah, which holds the power here. That's how disconnected from reality this sounds. Guys, we're going to talk about more craziness that's happening here in Israel in just 1 second. But first, as we approach the Jewish high holidays, Israel approaches the horrific anniversary of October 7th, a year since terrorists massacred families, burned homes, and shattered lives. The devastating aftermath is affecting displaced families, Holocaust survivors are facing isolation, and brave soldiers are risking their lives every day on the front lines. The people of Israel can't wait. Poverty-stricken families can't wait any longer for hot meals. Soldiers can't wait for a moment of peace. Holocaust survivors can't wait for the care and dignity that they deserve in their final years. Right now, they need us more than ever. Mayor Panim is working tirelessly to provide thousands of pantry boxes, prepaid grocery cards, and festive holiday meals filled with symbolic foods like apples and honey to bring hope and healing to those struggling in the Holy Land. As Isaiah 58 verse 7 reminds us, is it not to share your bread with the hungry and to bring the homeless poor into your house? This is our mandate, guys. You can make the difference. Together we can bring the sweetness of the new year to those who are still rebuilding their lives after war, those standing guard on our borders, and those who feel forgotten and alone. Just click the link in the description below to donate today. In a press call on Wednesday night, 2 senior U.S. officials said that they hope that the 21-day ceasefire, quote, might also open up diplomatic space as well as galvanize efforts on the very important primary effort we have to bring the hostages home. During those 21 days, the parties will negotiate towards an eventual resolution of the conflict that has been ongoing since Hezbollah launched the attack on October 8th, and to reach a comprehensive agreement along the blue line that allows for residents to return to their homes in both Lebanon and Israel. Again, they're acting like this is just a normal war between two countries, between Israel and Lebanon. I remind you again, Israel's not at war with Lebanon. They're at war with Hezbollah, and they're actually helping the innocent civilians of Lebanon who are being oppressed by the terrorist regime of Hezbollah, who is directly backed and funded by Iran. Netanyahu did say today that the reports of an imminent ceasefire are false, and he denied toning down strikes. So absolutely, he rejected the ceasefire. The Prime Minister's office said, quote, this is an American-French proposal that the Prime Minister hasn't even responded to, and this was reinforced by a statement from Israel's Foreign Minister, Israel Katz, who said, quote, we will continue to fight the Hezbollah terror group with full force until victory and the return of our residents of the north to their homes safely. So even though it's ridiculous that they're calling for this ceasefire, but thankfully Israel's not caving into this pressure, and they're saying, no, we're not going to tone down the strikes. We're going to continue to bomb Hezbollah and continue with this goal of annihilating Hezbollah. Something else that is insane that is happening. The U.S. administration and the United Nations just did this. This is crazy. The United States Department of Justice, along with the United Nations, is filing an official document in a U.S. federal court claiming that UN employees who are actively involved in the October 7th massacre are immune from legal prosecution. So several victims of October 7th, they filed a lawsuit back in June against UNRWA employees who were involved in the October 7th massacre, right? This makes sense. They're filing a lawsuit against these guys who are directly involved in October 7th. And now the U.S. is backing up the United Nations claim to immunity by submitting this new document. This is absolutely insane. Israel has provided evidence that multiple members of UNRWA not only supported the actions of October 7th, but themselves committed some of the atrocities. Also, Israel found multiple terror tunnels under UNRWA headquarters, and it was estimated that 10% of UNRWA's staff were Hamas members. Guys, what has this world come to that we're condoning terrorists? The UN, its agencies, apparently they do technically have immunity from every form of legal process under the Convention of the Privileges and Immunities of the United Nations, which was adopted back in 1946. But the thing that the U.S. is ignoring is that this same thing also states that the UN has the right and the duty to waive this immunity in some instances. Maybe like when your members are active terrorists or something. Attorney General Merrick Garland supported the UN's claim that these officials have immunity. The DOJ's petition stated, quote, the plaintiff's complaint does not present a theory under which the United Nations waived its immunity. Therefore, since the UN has not waived their immunity in this case, its subsidiary organization, UNRWA, continues to enjoy absolute immunity from prosecution, and the lawsuit against the defendant UNRWA should be dismissed due to the lack of subject matter. the lack of subject matter, they have actual proof and evidence that multiple members of their organization were involved in murdering and raping and taking hostages back into Gaza. Guys, this is absolutely insane and ridiculous that the world has really come to this place that it's at. I feel somebody said this on Twitter, summed it up perfectly. They said, quote, "Breaking, the United Nations demands immunity for UNRWA employees involved in the massacre of October 7th. This is a photo of 2 UNRWA terrorists after killing an Israeli civilian on October 7th and kidnapping his body. Am I tripping, or has this world gone mad?" Guys, in a world of insanity and madness, it's getting crazier every day. Continue to pray for Israel. They're still surrounded by enemies. Hezbollah is still a very real threat. They're still fighting Hamas in Gaza. Iran is still a very real threat. So continue to pray for the nation of Israel. Guys, thanks for watching. Don't forget to check out Me'ir Panim, donate to help the poor here in Israel as we approach the high holidays. Make sure and subscribe. Let me know what you think in the comments section below. As always, stop listening to lies and propaganda. Connect with the truth of what is happening here in Israel. We'll be back soon here at the Israel Guys. Catch you in the next one.